Did Half-Life 3 just get confirmed? After years of waiting, players believe they are closer than ever as a Valve artist just confirmed Half-Life 3 is in the works. It might sound too good to be true, so let's cover everything you want to know. This all started after a Valve concept artist,
My name is Evgeny Yestradi,
joined a podcast on April 8th and gave out a few details. This Valve artist seems to have confirmed the game's existence and revealed that Valve has made multiple attempts to work on it. Although we have known about previous attempts from 10 years ago, the thing is, Evgeny has only been working there in recent years, since 2023. According to his LinkedIn, before Valve, he was at Riot and has shared a bunch of cool art on his ArtStation. But the part where it gets interesting is when in the podcast, this Valve artist mentions Half-Life 3. It is in Russian, but I'll let you hear it for yourself.
Ну, я не знаю, и можно ли говорить или нет, но я был в комнате, где Half-Life 3 делают, но как бы самой разработки я не видел, я просто видел офис, компы, доски. И, как я понял, то, что вот делать Half-Life, это у них не первая попытка, поэтому то, что они это сейчас делают, не факт, что они как бы сделают, потому что даже если брать Deadlock, да, то ты понимаешь, компания, ну, их философия, да, у них есть какой-то стандарт свой внутренний, да, который вот они, ниже которого они не хотят делать. И типа вот если игра не отвечает их стандартам, то они могут ее вполне заморозить и отменить. И вот, то есть они делали вот этот Deadlock, у них был сначала один стиль, то есть он уже был такой.
Well, I don't know if I can say this or not, but I was in the room where they make Half-Life 3. However, I didn't see the actual development itself. I just saw the office, the computers, the whiteboards, and as I understood it, making Half-Life 3 isn't their first attempt. Therefore, the fact that they are doing it now is not a guarantee that they'll actually make or release it, which I'm sure is very well understood at this point, as we shouldn't celebrate or get our hopes up until Valve makes it official and gives us a trailer. But what is interesting is if we take what this Valve artist is saying, he saw Valve work on Half-Life 3. And with him only being an employee since 2023, we can assume he's talking about a newer version rather than the ones that were cancelled 10 years ago. While this doesn't confirm a release anytime soon, it does suggest that Half-Life 3 exists and the HLX leaks are pointing in the right direction. Of course, you could argue we already knew something was on the way just by the ending of Half-Life Alyx, or even some of the interviews afterwards where Valve hinted they were ready to continue the series. We also can't forget the most recent Half-Life 20th anniversary where Gabe mentions that there's no shortage of opportunities to make game experiences that haven't been made before right now in the industry. This, of course, is also not the first time Half-Life 3 has been mentioned by Valve and Gabe Newell, as there's even full-on compilations made over the years, so let's wait for Valve to finally reveal the next Half-Life game when they're ready. It is also important to note that this artist appears to just be a contract worker, so although it seems likely that they could have seen things related to Half-Life 3, it's not like it's Robin Walker or Gabe Newell coming out and explaining the game. So obviously just take his word with some caution. That said, once you add in all the other information we know about Half-Life 3 and HLX, it follows along with all the current leaks. So could we see something Half-Life related this year? We can't forget the Mike Shapiro New Year's video, and the fact Half-Life will be releasing a new Raising the Bar sometime in 2025. We are almost 5 months into the year and we still don't have the release date for the book, so it seems likely that we can hope for at least one Half-Life announcement, even if it is just for Raising the Bar. So is Half-Life 3 finally happening? You add in these comments from the Valve artist paired with HLX leaks and Valve's recent hints, it definitely seems like something is brewing. So as it is a contract worker's word and not Gabe Newell's, we should stay cautiously optimistic. That said, here are a few times Gabe Newell talked about Half-Life 3.
So rather than waiting until, Half-Life 3 ships for our multiplayer games to get a feature like HDR.
Are you getting a lot of death threats over the non-reveal of Half-Life 3 yet?
I think everybody hopes that we do good work in the future.
The Sharks are fans too, right?
Yeah, hopefully. Right. You'll never get Half-Life 3 if you eat me.
Are we going to see Half-Life 3 and when?
Well, I can't really say anything about Half-Life 3, and when I do, I'll certainly talk to the BBC about it. Anyhow, thank you very much. I have a light flashing at me telling me that I don't get to answer the third question, and hope you enjoy the rest.
For other Valve releases, it's been a few years since the Steam Deck LCD and OLED release, but a prototype version was just listed for $3,000 and sold. This wasn't just any Steam Deck, but an early test prototype. It was listed on eBay and some buyers grabbed it for $2,000 with no confirmation on if it was legit or not. Either it was a highly realistic fake Steam Deck, or someone just bought an extremely rare piece of Valve history that isn't meant to be sold. It starts with this eBay listing for $3,000, labeling it as an early Valve Steam Deck prototype, mentioning the engineering sample 34. And that is 256 gigabytes, if of course you were looking to use this as your main Steam Deck. Based on the photos shown in the listing, it appears that Valve finalized this prototype in February 2020, roughly 2 years before retail units were released. Officially, the Steam Deck comes with two APU options, Aerith and Sephiroth. However, engineering sample 34 Steam Deck shows Valve was previously working with an AMD Picasso APU. We can also confirm this from a post by Valve employee Pierre, where he showed off this exact Steam Deck prototype, mentioning that it also has a Picasso APU, which was half of the APU power of the final Steam Deck. Not only this, when we take a look at the Asia Steam Deck booklet, on the page Valve shared a bunch of the Steam Deck prototypes. The one in the middle of the second last row looks oddly similar to the one Pierre showed off, and that was also just sold on eBay for $2,000. One of the pictures reveals at the back, which has the engineering sample 34 label, also mentions it's not for resale. So although this was listed for $3,000, it is an extremely rare Steam Deck, and whoever the buyer was now owns a piece of Valve history, which hopefully we see showed off maybe by some YouTuber in the future. Until then, we are just left with these eBay listing pictures. Now, although I wouldn't expect a Steam Deck 2 anytime soon, it definitely seems like things are ramping up for the Deckard rumors in 2025. A few weeks ago, we covered some new patents by Valve. We also saw some new suspicious subs on SteamDB, but more recently, Sadly It's Bradley shared some big news, as it seems actual parts for the upcoming Deckard are traveling around the world. Valve has been importing equipment to manufacture VR headset facial interfaces inside the USA. The equipment is being provided by Teleray Group, who also manufactured the gaskets for the Valve Index and HP G2 Omni set. Not only is Valve importing the equipment to manufacture pieces for their VR headsets directly inside the USA, there's also signs that they have shipments of face gaskets as well, the foam that sits around your eyes when you place a VR headset over your head, as there are some mentions of them on some shipments from 2024, but then when you look at Teleray Hong Kong, they had a shipment less than 1 month ago to Valve for a servo hot press and other equipment. The shipment is literally being sent to a port an hour away from the Valve HQ. So it definitely looks like Valve is gearing up for the Deckard. You add in Teleray's past involvement with Valve and other VR headsets, it seems like the Deckard is getting closer, and now we have actual physical shipments. Whether the timing is from the Trump tariffs or not, we can't say for sure, but it is a great sign if you are waiting for what Valve has next. From a Valve artist mentioning Half-Life 3 is in the works, to a $2,000 prototype Steam Deck getting sold, to Valve getting new hardware shipments to manufacture their next VR headset. We can't forget Valve has their annual Hawaii vacation this month, so let's see what they have cooking when they return. Make sure you are subscribed to not miss any news for Valve.